Shalom, this is Nazama Shalhamadabar Yasharal on my channel Nazama the Hebrew Mystic Healer. Before I get started, as always, I'd like to go ahead and show some love to my 3D kin, the 12 tribes of Israel scattered to the four corners of this 3D earth realm. Much love and shalom to you. And also show some love to my cosmic kin scattered to the 12 dimensions of this universal A construct. Much love and shalom to you as well. And as always, show a little love and support to my viewers, especially those of you who are subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so now. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Also, if you like this video, be sure to show me by giving it a like. So in this video, I'm going to tackle another starseed placement or origin, depending on your Akashic records. And that is Shaula, or the scorpion tail. A lot of us don't think about starseeds that incarnate within the zodiac constellations themselves, but it happens. And in fact, a lot of us, according to our birth charts in this particular incarnation, have actually had incarnations within the same particular zodiac placements that show up in our star chart. Many times it actually points to the fact that we've had incarnations within those constellations. Now, it isn't always the case, and that's why I always tell people that a starseed chart or even a natal chart reading is great, because it helps identify and point out from more of a mathematical standpoint a very general kind of graphic idea of where we have incarnated or what star systems have influenced this particular incarnation, but it doesn't always identify our starseed origin. It doesn't always identify or encapsulate every single starseed incarnation we've had, and it definitely doesn't cover our pre-universal origin. However, a lot of times, just by looking at our starseed chart or even by looking at our natal chart, we can see which particular zodiac signs that we may have incarnated within those particular constellations. So for this particular video, I'm going to be talking about Shaula, which is the tail of the scorpion within the scorpion the scorpion constellation, or Scorpius, or Scorpio. So I feel like this is actually a very prominent placement that I've seen come up in clients within their Akashic records. Now, I've only had a small handful of clients that actually have this as an origin point, or a starseed origin, or the first incarnation within this universal egg. But I've had quite a few clients who have it within their cosmic records, including myself. I have it in my cosmic records as well. Again, not my first starseed origin placement. As those of you who listen to my channel know, I'm an Orion Rigel starseed that is actually from outside the universe, from the void, going all the way back. But I do have Shaula in my Akashic records. Well, Shaula is very common within the Akashic records of clients. So I feel like it's really important to touch on this particular starseed placement. So it is the tail of the scorpion. Now, you might think that it would be a very aggressive placement, but actually it's not. I'm going to be doing a video on Antares, which is the heart of the scorpion, which is actually a more aggressive or more Mars-based or Mars-like type placement, which I'll talk about that more when I do the Antares video. But Shaula is a lot more passive than you would think. Now, Shaula reflects more of the battle or the struggle, particularly of the shadow side. So those of us who have Shaula in our Akashic records, we will deal with a lot of sorrow. We will feel like we are constantly transmuting or working through sorrow. We may even have experiences that are very much like, it's almost as if those who have Shaula within their Akashic records, especially those who have incarnated there as a first starseed origin, will experience a lot of sorrow, and they may even feel as though they've been shaped by it. These people are extremely psychic. These people are very psychic, especially when it comes to dealing with the underworld, mediumship, witchcraft, necromancy, shamanism, channeling, anything to do with that type of spiritual gift. They will tend to have a inclination toward darker expressions of themselves. They may be drawn to the darkness in others. They may even be drawn to danger to an extent. Many have probably suffered through violence. Either they have been perpetuators of violence, or they have been victims of violence. Specifically, if you have this particular placement within your Saturn, because Saturn deals with karmic debt, karmic retribution, and karmic resolution. So that will come through even more powerfully there. But in general, for those who have this as an actual starseed origin point, highly psychic individuals, highly emotional, very dangerous in a way, but not dangerous in a sense of where they're just aggressive or they're bad or they're evil. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean by dangerous is they have this emotional, volatile side to them, but it's usually expressed against themselves in almost a self-destructive manner. Whereas the Antares starseed may display more overt signs of aggression or destruction, having that sort of Mars energy coming through. Really, it's Mars's opposition in that sense. But with the Shaula, it's more of self-destructive. It's more internally focused. So the major challenge for the Shaula starseed is to not just accept and love their darkness and accept and love the parts of themselves that they may feel are the problem. They may feel that there's this tendency for the strengths of the Shaula starseed to also be their greatest weaknesses. So basically, if a Shaula starseed reaches a point where they embrace and integrate what they perceive to be their weaknesses, they are actually their strengths. And many times what seems to be a weakness is just the failure of the Shaula starseed to embrace their shadow or to embrace and accept all parts of themselves. A lot of times as children, they were born into very oppressive families or families that are very rigid, maybe religious, maybe abusive or negligent. But in general, they will be very misunderstood. And so they will grow up feeling as though in order to fit in or to function or even exist in some extreme cases, they have to repress what would seem to be a weakness, but really it's their strength, their psychic ability, their ability to discern, their ability toward empathy, their ability to really see through others is actually a gift. But when it is repressed, it becomes a self-destructive part of their personality. So those who have this featuring heavily in their Akashic records, or they have it especially as a starseed placement, may find themselves spending the majority of their earlier years trying to overcome their own nature in a sense. But really, they finally reached a point of acceptance and integration, and they finally learn how to just relax in who they are and their abilities and gifts, and they stop seeing it as something that's bad. And they feel acceptance within themselves, and they won't need it from anything outside of themselves, and they won't respond either by withdrawing or by lashing out, because the Shaula starseed may have a tendency to really lash out at others and project their shadow onto other people, and they will operate from the sort of raw sexual dark energy. So somebody that has Shaula within their Akashic records, and especially as a Shaula starseed, will have a lot of dark energy. Now, it's not dark like bad or dark like evil. It's just that they contain so much of that raw emotional energy. And yes, it can as I said before, be repressed and become part of their shadow self. But really, once they embrace it and they integrate it, they can become very powerful healers, very powerful shamans, very powerful mediums, very powerful magicians and sages and mages. So that's how I would go ahead and explain the Sha Allah starseed. Now, as far as incarnating within the constellation goes and their appearance, they tend to range from arachnid looking, because remember, the Scorpio and the spider are both arachnids. So they will tend to have that type of appearance, sometimes insectoid. So they can sometimes look like a mantis or a hornet or a bee or a wasp. They can sometimes look like an ant, but more often than not, they will resemble a scorpion or spider type incarnation. And in some cases, it will be a hybrid between a reptilian arachnid or a reptilian insectoid type incarnation. And in some even more minor cases, they may have some genetic modification or genetic meddling or hybridization going on in there, because within that constellation, there has been some intense incursions that have occurred with the beings that are there. That is something that if I were to do a reading for a Sha Allah starseed, that I might be able to tap into and explain more about, because that's really different, and indicative to each particular client. So depending on the level of shadow work that client has done, and depending on how prominent this features in their Akashic records, will dictate, if trauma is stored there and if there's karmic resolution and shadow work that has to take place at that particular level. So that is basically, in a nutshell, a description of the Sha Allah starseed. If you felt that this video resonated with you and you feel you might either be a Sha Allah starseed, or maybe you feel you might have that in your Akashic records, or you have, for example, Scorpio somewhere in your actual chart, then you definitely have some Sha Allah influence there at the very least. But you might even already know you're a Sha Allah starseed. You might be a client of mine, or you might already know you have a placement there. So this video will also help those of you as well, because I have had, like I said, some clients that have had this particular origin or this particular incarnation, and so I wanted to make a video as a reference for them as well. But either way, if you are interested in finding out, definitely reach out to me. You can book by clicking on the link in the drop down menu, facebook.com/The Hebrew Mystic Healer, all one word. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you guys found this video to be educational and enlightening. Stay tuned for more videos. Take care. Shalom.